Hello, and welcome back to another episode for Project Seed Money. My name is Sharissa Bradley, and I am so excited today to be joined with author and comedian and entrepreneur Lynn Harris. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, let's just jump right in. Have you always wanted to be an author?
You know, I in my heart and soul, I think at some level yes, but I never was one of those people who I didn't have a plan. I wasn't like I will be the next so and so. I just kind of followed where those big cartoon magnets, like literally the magnets in cartoons that are like a giant horseshoe shape and they like pull the coyote over it, whatever. I just felt that magnet drawing me toward any kind of writing. And I did fiction writing, I did journalism and reporting, obviously comedy writing, book writing, essay writing, storytelling writing. And back in the day when I started publishing books, honestly, like it wasn't that hard to get a contract. It's not like it is today where you have to like come with a built-in following of 600 million people. So back in the day, they'd just be like, that sounds like a good idea. And so it wasn't authorship per se that I dreamed of. It was just like, I gotta write.
That's amazing. So then did you get a traditional publishing contract to do your original books?
Back in the day, yeah. I'm talking about, let's see, my first book was 92 and then 96. So back in the day, I'm not sure there wasn't self-publishing, but it wasn't a thing. I think I did self-publish one novel, but not until the 2000s. So back then that's all you had. I mean, sure, there were like bigger publishers and smaller publishers and imprints and all that jazz, but that was it. There was no other option. That was even before blogs.
That's amazing. And then when you were going through that process of like finding the publisher, and I mean, it sounds like it was a pretty easy process. They liked your ideas, but I wonder when you were going through that process, did you face any self-doubt when it came to querying or putting your stories out there or asking for that support when it came to publishing?
I just remember having gotten really good advice that applies in journalism, it applies in sports, and that is, there's a few different ways to say it. Some are hokey and some aren't, but you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take, right? And I used to teach humor writing for journalists, and people would, pitch news related humor stories. And my sort of gambit with and Wayne Gretzky, I used to play hockey. Wayne Gretzky would say that you basically, and this was either mathematical or just inspirational, that you score one goal for every 10 shots you take. So when my students would say like, I got rejected, I'd be like, great, only 8 more or only 9 more, whatever it was, because it's not a failure. It's just part of the process. Like it just is. I am not even trying to be inspirational. Like it's just facts. And so I guess having had a lot of well, no, I guess our first two books sold super easily. But again, no, like I'm not bragging here. Like it was just a quieter time, And it was because first of all, you didn't have to come with a giant platform because there was really no such thing as platforms yet, or at least no such thing as platforms that you could build yourself. Like if you were like Secretary General of the UN, you would have a platform. But like Boutros Ghali didn't build his own platform, you know what I'm saying, by like, answering a lot of Twitter tweets, So you, so either you had a platform and a great idea or just a good idea that they thought they could sell. And also there was less competition in this space. Like we sold for my first writing partner and I sold a humorous college cookbook. And we did partly because there were literally no other humorous college cookbooks. Like it wasn't like, oh, they're entering a crowded market, we're going to have to see how to differentiate this one. And bizarrely, likewise, the second book we sold, different writing partner, the second book we sold was a humorous guide to surviving a breakup. And bizarrely, there weren't that many of those yet either. There was just like less stuff, We had like 5 TV channels and plenty of books, but like it was just not as crowded. And so I don't mean to like be that person who's always like remember the olden days when things were quaint and simple, but there's just mathematically less competition.
It's so interesting to shine a light on the landscape difference because things have
Yeah,
changed so dramatically
so
now that
much.
we have the access to be able to publish on our own and publish for free on these sites like KDP and even 10 years ago at CreateSpace. Now we have this ability to mass produce. And I think the rate of consumption has increased as well. Like we're consuming at a higher rate. We're expecting more people to come write more so that we can read more. So that's really interesting. It's not like you're saying, oh, this is better or different. It's just interesting to shine a light on the landscape. The other people I've interviewed here have all been in the newer landscape of it. They're all doing the
Yeah.
KDP. They're all doing this fast way at home with
Yeah.
all the control and none of the traditional sense. So it's very
It's
interesting.
great. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
now it's like kind of cool. Like back then, when I did self-publish my second novel, it was like not my first choice. Like it was because I didn't sell it, and I don't think the one before it had done pretty well, but I mean, not even as well, not even close to as well as I had hoped. And because things had already been, this was the 2000s, things were already like getting real. And I thought of that as kind of a failure, that like, well, I spent all this time on it. I'm not going to let it go. I guess I'll self-publish it. This is kind of embarrassing. I hope nobody notices. So that vibe has also changed,
Oh, so much. So much.
so that's good.
I agree.
I'm pleased with that, you can have the control. Like I have a friend, Lindsay Scola, who is creating, it's not just that you get your book out there, it's another, which and in itself is great, but also that it gives you this opportunity to make it a piece of creating your brand that you don't have to wait a year and a half for, so, or even get, so like she pivoted, she did a whole lot of other interesting things, and now she's building her brand as an ADHD and sleep expert. And so great. So she like wrote a book. It's her calling card. It's doing great on Amazon. We have feelings about Amazon, but like just for the purposes of this conversation, she made her own really long calling card, and no one's like, oh, but she's self-public. Like it's not looked down on. It's looked on as part of her brand.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's become this way that women can take, or everybody can take this entrepreneurial look at actually writing. So it's becoming a
Yes.
part of this, like, this is my business, this is who I am. And then, like you said, calling card. And I think that that's absolutely beautiful. It adds to your own value. You get to
Yep.
provide more than and leave somebody with something. I completely agree. And I feel that as we're kind of talking about like self-publishing, it is kind of becoming like now a business. Like you can run it like a business and
Yes.
treat yourself in that way.
Right. It's nice when you have someone else doing it for you, but then also like flip side of that is like I don't know anyone. I know very few people who haven't, and no shade to good people who do good work, but I've barely heard of all the authors I know of someone who was like, I loved everything about my publicist who not the one I hired separately. I loved everything about the publicist they assigned me, and I felt completely supported by my publisher all the time. Said no one. Because and again, like I'm not slamming I'm slamming the model, okay? Because the way the model, I can't speak to it now, but the way the model worked a little while ago is if you were the company that published Harlequin romance, or if you were the company that published Dan Brown, or then you don't need to make any more money. So you just invest in those, and the rest is like literally window dressing. Like I'm not even saying that that's bad. I'm not even saying that therefore they're evil, or like, I'm just like, it's not like your book is not their business model. Sorry. It's just, it's like, it's not good or bad. It's just how it is. And so I don't know how much that's changed, honestly, but that was true then. So like, that's why it's not personal. They're not trying to make your book not sell. They're just not invested in it because, and I mean invested in the literal financial sense, because they're invested in Dan Brown and Harlequin.
Oh, that's so true. And you're going to get that level of communication and you're going to get that level of support because that's just the
Yeah.
level of care that's being put out. So when you can take matters into your own hands and you can have control, you get to determine how much care you provide and that sort. So I think that's really beautiful. I just want to ask one last question. If you have any advice for my audience, they're female authors, they're on the fence, they're just trying to get going. What can you say to help them keep going?
Oh, okay, keep going. The other thing is that not everyone is your audience.
Mm,
You have an audience somewhere out there who loves you or will love you.
mm.
If someone you find or a group of people you find are not your crowd, that is good news. You found someone who's not your audience, because then that helps you find the people who are. And you have to, like, the personal, like, in the way I heard it, that Shonda Rhimes says, hang out with people who make you feel like you. So you got to write your book for people. You got to feel like you when you're writing your book, and your audience for your book is people who make you feel like you. So if a publisher rejects it, or if someone doesn't buy it, or it doesn't seem to resonate with someone, that's just data. They're just not your people. It's fine. And that frees you up to find the people who make you feel like you, the readers who make you feel like you, the customers who make you feel like you. So they're there and you can find them, and just don't worry about the people who don't.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this, Lynn. And thanks for spending a little bit of time with us. Can you tell my audience where they can find you and where they can find your books?
Sure. Yes, absolutely. So I did a lot of humor books, which is the segue to what I do now, which is I'm the founder and CEO of Gold Comedy, where I still write a lot of stuff. And if anyone's curious about funny writing, we teach that all day long, and our customers are primarily women and non-binary creators who, want a space that takes them seriously. And we have classes in humor writing, we have classes in developing your TV pitch. Let's say you're like, my book would be a great TV show. Doesn't matter if it's a comedy, maybe it's a talk show. I don't know, but you can learn how to develop your idea in all sorts of ways. And if you feel like you want to add some humor to it, we can do that. We can help you do that in ways that are appropriate for you and your book, that are authentic to you. So check us out at Gold Comedy. It's goldcomedy.com, and on Instagram we're Gold Comedy. And I can also, if you, in the show notes, if we can throw in a 10% off code if you want. Happy to do that as well.
I love that. I'll make sure to have all of those links in the description. Thank you so much for spending some time with us today, Lynn. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining me on another episode for Project Seed Money. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. And I will see you with another interview next week. Bye.